Well, would you look at that? Our first daffodil bloom. Yay! For whatever reason, this tulip is the only tulip on the property. The moles cannot get to it or haven't found it. It's been here for years. My mother-in-law planted these I don't know how many years ago. They've been here for as long as I've been married to my husband. I spy with my eyes some hyacinths that have popped through. That's interesting. Usually the hyacinths pop up last on this side. The hyacinths usually pop up first. Ignore the weeds over here on this side. I just love these winter heather. It is now spring and they're still going. And this one here, that's not even a winter heather. That's just it's a regular heather. So I'm not sure why it's blooming already, because the larger one sure isn't blooming. I wonder if they got it mixed up. Anyway, it brings some color to this bed this time of year. That's so pretty. So I just noticed all of these stems broken and eaten off of. Definitely eaten, because it is definitely not a my prune. You can see it was definitely eaten off. Not snapped. Not pruned. And every single hydrangea has like half of them are that way. All of them, every single one. Oh, my poor hydrangea babies. They're not really babies anymore, thankfully, but if the deer had chomped it evenly right above the the bud, I wouldn't have to do any pruning. Oh, it's just so upsetting, every single one. So we're definitely gonna have to build a deer fence. Oh, and as you can see, it's a little bit different view. My son moved into a house and sold his RV, so it's gone. There's no RV here anymore. And my nectarine is starting to get buds. Flowers, yay. But yep, every single hydrangea has been hit, every single one of them. Not all the way across, just like half of it, all the way around. Well, it may be raining, but at least it's not raining sideways like it has been. I think I know what this is. Ooh, looks like a second package. I don't know what this one is. Here's the winter picture. And here's the new picture for spring. We'll switch it out and see if my husband notices when he gets back. That looks pretty good. Now I need to switch out the pine cones and put some other spring, give spring vibes to that little shelf, but I'm not going to do that today. Sadly, we think we lost our Fiji apple tree. We're pretty sure it's a goner. We did have hardwire nailed down in the ground, but somehow the deer, at least we think it's deer, I suppose it could have been rabbits, but we think the deer pushed it up. It came off, and not only did they eat the buds, but they ate the bark all the way around it. So we think that apple tree is a goner. We'll have to replace it. As you can see, I mean, we had the wire on it just like this. So far, they've left these two alone. It's possible that the deer had some help from the wind. We have had some pretty strong windstorms lately. As a matter of fact, I'll show you another sad tree we lost. Well, here's a view of it from up above. Somehow it miraculously missed the fencing on all sides. It missed that old rundown coop. It missed the barn. It missed our deck. It literally landed in the perfect spot. So very thankful for that. See, it just it pulled out. It's almost like The roots were cut underneath. I don't know. This is quite a huge tree. It was close to 30 feet tall, I think. But you can see the roots just roots just pulled out. The wind just snapped it. It had fruit on it last year. We knew it was on its way out, but didn't expect this. I am amazed how it landed. I feel blessed. It literally didn't bust anything. The door on that old coop was already broken. We just need to tear this down anyway. But I mean, it's just huge. I don't know. Let me see if I can get a shot of me and the tree. I'm standing next to it falling down, and it's that much higher on its side. Goodbye, old tree. Thanks for being a friend. Oh, yay! That's one less thing. My husband pulled out the annuals out of the containers for me. Yes, I still hadn't done that from last year. I just didn't get to it before the bad weather came. And it looks like he even pruned most of the sedum. My husband's been very busy. He's already taken the auger and drilled the holes for me. So I'm just going to be throwing in some root starter and planting the trees. Now this first one is a Bartlett pear. We already have a D'Anjou, so those will pair well together. And then the next trees that we've got, I got a lapine cherry and a bean cherry. We're looking to get one more different type of a cherry. I want a cherry for pie that I can make pie filling. And I want to get 2 more plums, and we'll have to replace the Fiji apple tree that we had. And of course, I've got to give Dexter that much attention that he craves all the time. The best time to plant fruit trees in the Pacific Northwest, where I'm at, is really anywhere, fall, winter, or spring. You can plant a fruit tree any of those 3 seasons and it'll be fine. I personally like to plant them in late fall after the heat is over and the rain starts. Now that is the best time to plant an evergreen tree, is in late fall. We were a little bit late this year in getting it, but then again, our season was late as well. We really didn't start getting rain till November. Those trees hopefully will be fine. And these fruit trees in early spring, they'll be fine. It just means we'll have to water them more probably throughout the summer month than I had hoped, because if you plant them in late fall, then they'll get rain all through the last 2 months of fall and winter and the first part of spring, and they're really set in by the time the hot summer comes. The apple trees were planted a couple weeks ago in the midst of my sickness. I still am not 100% better. I would say I'm about 85 to 90% better, but I was able to manage. We had about 5 hours of no rain, so I was able to get a few more roses pruned down and took out the dusty miller from the window boxes. So that's it for the gardening part. If you want to keep watching and find out what happened personally last week, then keep watching. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. So if you're interested in finding out why I had to cut last week's episode cut so short, I'll try to explain as quickly and brief as possible. So some of the curveballs thrown at us last week was one, I broke a couple of teeth, and so badly broken that they're going to need to be extracted, and I need implants. And I don't know if you've ever had a problem with your teeth, but implants are very expensive. So then I got a call from my husband who was driving my car because he was on his way to pick up the dog from the groomer after work. And he was stranded. He fortunately got into a parking lot instead of stranded on the freeway. But my car had broken down. We thought it was the alternator, and unfortunately, we were right. It was. So that was another hefty expense we were not expecting. So that meant we got home really late last Friday night. And then to top it off, what I showed you previously, what happened with my hydrangeas in the circle garden. We do think it was deer. So that means there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it anymore. We are gonna have to build a tall fence to try and keep out the deer. I guess plant it and they will come. We had not had any problem with deer. We had just a little bit. Last year, some of the deer were nibbling on my roses out front. But for years until that, we had never had any problem with the deer whatsoever. So we were unprepared to even think about having to build a deer fence. Definitely not in our planned budget. So if it were up to me, I'd build a fence this tall, but that's definitely not going to be in our budget this year. So this means our plant budget is 0. It was already cut down by quite a bit because we bought our property. So our budget was going to be very small anyway. Now it's going to be this big. Fortunately, I still have a ton of seeds that I got last year, and so I just have to rearrange my plants and figure out where I'm going to put all of my plants and seeds and try to just reconfigure things out a little bit. But I'm up for a challenge, so this year is going to be fun and interesting. Thanks for watching, and until next time, feed the pollinators for me.